listen, women think, just like you said, women think they want to be around you all the time until, of course, they're around you all the time. And here's something else. I think what men and women fail to realize and understand is that there are many, many feelings stronger than love. Okay, stronger than what we call love. Infatuation, hell of a lot stronger than love. Lust is stronger than love. When girls experience the newness of a relationship, that honeymoon period, you're infatuated, there's lust, you're overlooking the idiosyncrasies, those are going to become annoyances. Well, what ends up happening is that after a while, you actually start to like the guy, things have settled down, things have cooled off. But then girls mischaracterize that, oh, I think I've fallen out of love with him, things just aren't the same. Sweetheart, you're not going to be fucking 3 and 4 times a day all the time. Dude, when Dev and I, when we first got together, man, we were fucking 3-4 times a day. Took a trip to Hawaii. Dude, we took a 1-week trip to Hawaii. We counted. We fucked 31 times. It was insane. It was just
getting it done.
We don't fuck anywhere near that much now. Recently, we had a streak where we fucked like 10 days in a row. And I'll actually show you this. Hang on a second.
You about to get a sex toy?
Oh, no. I don't do sex toys. This is a map. I actually have to put this up. This is our smash map. Okay. Woo! This is a map of every state that we have ever had sex in. There's Hawaii, Arizona, Nevada.
Are you guys fucking taking notes? This is how you keep a relationship interesting.
This is how you do it, man. Dude, we fucked in, let's see. We fucked in Hawaii, Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New York. We did not fuck in Connecticut because I was too fucking tired. Right? I want to listen.
You don't want to fucking Connecticut.
I don't think so. Listen, I mean, if I can add that notch, but the point is, the point is just like you said, that's how you kind of not really spice things up, keep it interesting.
Little things like that for your girl are cute and exciting and sexy and fun. If you're in a relationship now, if you're in a relationship that's fucking struggling, you're holding on for dear life. You might be thinking, I mean, look at that list he just had. You're probably saying, where do you and your girl fuck? My house, her house, my house, her house, my house, her house. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, again, that comes with time. But the point is men and women need to understand this. There are many feelings that are related to love that are not exactly love, that are stronger than love. And so when those feelings start to go away, men and women have to realize you're not getting bored. You're not falling out of love. It's just the newness is wearing down. The dopamine hits, the endorphins. That's a good thing. You're settling into a routine. This is why women swing from relationship to relationship, because they believe that every relationship should be one continuous dopamine, endorphin-filled, sex-fueled, honeymoon party from now until the end, and it doesn't work that way.
Right. No, it doesn't at all. That's a beautiful point, actually. So the way I look at it is, and I'm really starting to zero in on this, and the way I think about this, the older I get, I'm starting to think more about my family legacy, right. And I look at the way people normally do things versus how it should be done and versus how our grandparents did it. My mother's parents is the only successful marriage I've ever seen. It's no surprise they came right out of the 40s and lived like it was the 40s until they died. That works. And what is it that worked? It's the idea that this is your life partner, not the baddest, sexiest, most intoxicating person ever. That's your life partner. What our grandparents were thinking was, can we work together? And when I listen to Kevin Samuels, this often comes to my mind. I start thinking about my grandparents, and I think this is something kind of Kevin Samuels-esque that he might agree with, because he talks strongly about marriage. But I think he's even explained to a few women this very same concept, that it's not about marrying the most intoxicating person. It's about, can we partner up and take care of business? That's why your lover is your partner. It's almost your business partner, and the business is maintaining a home and raising a family. Now, seeing as how most families are created by two people who were just intoxicated by each other, when the intoxication wears off, now you're left with nothing but a broken home. But two business partners that were not willing to abandon the business until business is done, meaning the kids are grown and the house is sold. Maybe now, if we don't want each other, we could divorce, but probably not. That's not the way they did it. My grandparents, the 40s, etc. That's the way it's done. So I was telling my mother the other day, and you'll like her answer to this. I was telling her the other day, I said, Ma, if I was going to get married, I know which girl from my rotation I would marry. It's the one, I told her, I said, I know it's the one that I am the least intoxicated with which isn't a bad thing. She'd probably hate to hear that, but it's not a bad thing. I love the girl, but I am not intoxicated with her.
Yes.
And it makes me think of something De Niro said in Casino. He goes to Sharon Stone. All right, you don't love me, but what is love? It's a mutual respect. I really think that's what love is. It's a mutual respect. So the girl I'm talking about, I really respect, but I'm not intoxicated by her. But simultaneously, that girl and I work well together. You know, she takes care of business for me when I'm working 80 hours a week. She makes sure I'm fed, clothed, does my laundry, helps out in the house. In return, I always think of things for her like, fuck, I'm going by her place. What does she need from the store? Like, we work together.
Oh, look at
It's
that.
not, you know what I mean? Now, if you were actually going to select a partner, that's the way our grandparents did it. And that's why they succeeded. No one's able to figure this out. People and young people ask the question all the time. Why can we not do what our grandparents did? I just fucking answered it for you because it was a partnership. It wasn't about falling in love. Now, what do you think my mother said? My mother said, yes, but you got to be deeply in love with them too. And and again, it's amazing to me that this will always come from somebody with like 3 failed marriages.
Yes,
So my mother's on her like 3rd situation. You know, there was my dad and then the bum after him. And now she's got a decent guy. You know what I mean? No one will ever let their pride down enough to be like, clearly we don't know what the fuck we're talking about because our love life, which has been on public display for the whole family to see how bad we fucked up, is evidence that I don't know what I'm talking about. No one's willing to admit that.
I'll say this, and I talk about this often, especially when I talk about relationships. Understand this, gentlemen, and you need to, because this lines up with exactly what you just said. Listen closely. The best relationship you will ever have with a woman can never, ever be with the woman you love the most. Let me repeat that. The best relationship you will ever have with a woman can never, ever, ever be with the woman you love the most.
100.
Now, people might say, well, what about Devin? Guess what? Devin falls maybe 4 or 5 on that list. The woman that I have loved the most in my entire life is a girl named Stephanie. You guys all know her as Amy. The woman I loved the second most was a girl named Tatiana. I knew her out in Las Vegas. The girl that I loved the third most was a girl named Jennifer. I actually met her out in Vegas too. I really, really liked her. Number 4, I guess, could be Devin. There's another girl named Christiana who might, I don't know, maybe 4 and 4A. Does this mean that I love Devin any less? No, of course not. But the fact that Devin is number 4 or 5 on the list of women that I have loved wholeheartedly, this is what allows me to do what I need to do to keep her in line. Because the state that I was in when I was with Stephanie, with that whole trailer park situation, there's no way that I could have laid down the edicts because I loved her. And listen, I can still freely admit that to this day, I have never, ever loved anyone or anything as much as I loved that girl. Not even close. Tatiana was a very close second. Jennifer was maybe a distant third. Devin is maybe 4 or 5 on the list, maybe tied or not tied with Christiana. The point is that the reason why I can walk away if I need to is not because I don't love Devin. It's because I'm not infatuated with her. I'm not intoxicated by her. I care for her very much. We have a long history, and I hope we last for a while. But if push comes to shove, I know that I will do what I need to do because I'm not that emotionally tied to her. I love her very much, and I care about our relationship, but not so much to where I wouldn't do what I need to do in terms of what's best for me and my mentality. What are your thoughts?
That's a great point. I feel the same way. I was pointing to you like this is that shit. That's a brilliant point.
Yeah, man.
I've got the girls in mind that I know were like real emotional trips for me.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I think something people get confused about love is our parents and relatives tell us, you know, you'll find the right one when you come across the one who does it for you in a way where you don't desire anyone else. Now, unfortunately, in most cases, you tell me how you feel about this. In most cases, in my experience, probably some of yours also, when you come across the girl that you're so intoxicated with, you stop thinking about other women. You stop wanting to sleep with other women, and she's all you need. Unfortunately, that's the one that's going to be your downfall because love warps your mind. Now, you think that this is what your heart is telling you, that everything's great. Your endorphins are just telling you that everything feels really good. And when you're with the girl that you're like drunk on, you cannot think for yourself. You can't be logical. You're emotionally driven purely. This is also, I guess, called one-itis.
Yeah.
So
exactly what it's called. Yeah.
You are much better off with the girl who does it for you, but the love is more like a mutual respect where you do love her. But I almost want to say it's like you love her like a relative. Like, this is my woman. If you're going to choose to be monogamous with a woman, this is my woman. I love her. She always holds it down for me. I always hold it down for her. Is much healthier. It's even healthier to be with that girl and fantasize about other women if you choose to be hardcore monogamous than it is to get with the girl that does it for you in every way. Because listen,
I can't live without her. I just don't. Oh my God, dude.
You tell me if you're the exception to the rule in the comment section, as people like to think that they are. But you tell me you're going to come across a woman that does it for you in every way possible, to the extent where you don't need another woman. You don't even think about other women. You stop watching porn. She's your porno. She's your fantasy. She's your romantic novel. And you're not out of your fucking mind. I mean, that's what's so great about love, is it's intoxicating. But what we're talking about when we say love is really unhealthy obsession. I think we got love twisted. That mutual respect that De Niro talks about in Casino, I think, is the real love. And we think an obsessive sort of like romantic mental trip is what love is. But then girls love to point out, well, I had a situation like that and it turned toxic. No, that sort of obsession is toxic from the start.
It's already toxic. Absolutely. Dude, and again, this is one of the many frailties of the human condition, because it's funny. I think about the three girls, man, that really just took over everything. Stephanie, Tatiana, Jennifer. And it's interesting, like, looking back now, like when I think back on those relationships, to be quite honest with you, I think about Jennifer now more than I even think about Stephanie. Now, it could be because Jennifer was much more recent than Stephanie. Stephanie happened way back in 08 and 09, but just using her as an example, like, it was this whirlwind. Like, dude, we moved quickly. Oh my God. Like, we spent the night at each other's house all the time. And this was after I found the red pill, man. Like, this was just, and she was literally all I could think about post red pill. And when we went our separate ways, it sucked. Like, it really, really sucked. But that's when I finally recognized, okay, been through it with Stephanie, been through it with Tatiana. Now I've been through it with Jennifer. It can't, and that's when I was starting to kind of figure out, okay, I can't be infatuated with a woman and have the requisite wherewithal and testicular fortitude to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. You cannot love a woman with all your heart and protect her. You just can't do it, man. It doesn't. It can't happen.
I recommend to guys that if you do go down that path, do you think you have any young viewers?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm not only saying this to guys, your age.
No. I've got all kinds of kinds of viewers. Oh, and don't worry about my camera. It's tripping. I got to tighten the wire, but go ahead. I'm listening and watching and all that.
Yeah. I think good advice for young guys is, if you think you want to be monogamous and you think you found that girl you want to be monogamous with, experiment down that road. If you'd like to, it might be nice for a while. Just always be willing to walk. Now, I have walks from girls that I was head over heels for. I trained myself to be this way.
Not easy, is it?
No, I trained myself to be this way. I trained myself to the extent that I will allow myself to get caught up in intoxication from time to time. Because at the end of the day, I could be as red pill as I want, but in my heart, I'm a storyteller. So there's always going to be a part of me that's a little bit of a romantic, and that's fine, because I'll enjoy some romance from time to time. At times I've done committed relationships, but as soon as she fucks up, or as soon as she does something that does not work for me, in the respect of keeping my standards and keeping my sanity, as soon as I start to see that I'm veering off and becoming this love obsessed cat, things stop working for me. Then things stop working for us, for her and I, right? I'm always willing to walk, and I have walked from girls that I'm not going to front. Call me as blue pills as you want to, make fun of me. I've cried my eyes out over chicks that I still don't, no matter how hard, it's emotional rehab. Let yourself detox. And I wanted to make this point. This is what is so great about This is what's so great about AMS and why I love his content. AMS not only talks about female nature, but AMS talks about male nature. AMS talks about, how to keep your emotions at bay as a man so you don't make mistakes. And that's something I think young men can really benefit from and really need to hear. And he'll talk about, don't spend too much time with her. Limit her to 1 day a week, because you don't know your own limits of becoming attached, obsessive, and falling off course, falling away from your purpose. So it's best to keep her there. I mean, enjoy the intoxicating chick.
Yes,
it's intoxicatingly sexy. I mean, it's fun, but
wonderful, dude.
Keep her at a safe distance. That's not the one to select for a partner, because if you can't keep your head straight, you're fucked. I mean, love warps your brain. It does. It's a chemical rush. Love, as we know it, as our culture defines it, is they may define it as some fucking rom-com-esque shit, but what it is it's just intoxication.
It is a chemical cocktail reaction in the brain. Serotonin, dopamine, endorphins all at once. You want to know what else gives you that kind of rush? Heroin. And heroin is the hardest drug to beat for a reason. You become addicted to that feeling. And again, it's easy for us to say, hey, you have to keep her at bay. And you being able to do this, dude, at the tender age of 25, that's far beyond anything I've ever even thought.
I have to. I got to get these movies finished. I can't just be chasing girls.
You have a purpose at 25. I didn't have a purpose at 25. I was dating my soon to be wife and ex-wife Darcy. I didn't have a purpose. My purpose was her. But that's just it. The reason why you are able to do what needs to be done and keep your feelings at bay, keep things in check, is because you have a purpose. And this is what AMS preaches all the time. If you have a purpose, you are far less likely to become enraptured or intoxicated by these women, because they are out there. I'm trying to tell you, and girls know exactly how to get you hooked, man. It is,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially the real manipulative ones. You're fucked if you don't know how to shift through that. What I call breakup is or the process of breaking up with someone you really loved or was really infatuated with. I call that emotional rehab. And my message to younger guys, if you know you're in a bad situation with a chick, you want to be free and you want to free up your time to start working on business or work on your purpose, you need to be ready to do some emotional rehab. And that's what most people can't do. I mean, when I had to walk away from that girl that I was the one I was most intoxicated with, the one that was most toxic for me, and the one that was the least beneficial for me, it was difficult. And my father is 5 years sober off heroin, funny enough. So my dad preaches, when you're in the program and you think you're going to go back out and use, you think you're going to slip up and do drugs again, you call someone else in the program, not for the purpose of them telling you don't go out and do drugs, but just to sidetrack you mentally. Mentally, you're talking to someone else who's dealt with the same struggles. Now you're talking about their family life. Now you're talking about their job. Now your mind is elsewhere, because a craving, say for a cigarette, say for dope, say for whatever, they say a craving only lasts between like 7 and 10 minutes or so. Don't quote me on that exactly.
Like that. Okay.
Don't quote me on that exactly, but usually if you could fight through a period of urge, I mean, how do you think cats stay sober for 10, 20 years? I mean, they become accustomed to this process. You think somebody that's clean off heroin for 5 years isn't dreaming about doing heroin, but they mentally, if they've successfully gotten clean off that substance, they mentally push through those periods of craving. Well, when I was actually thinking of, you know what, I'll just sleep with that girl just this one time, I'll just see her just this one time, she's calling, I'll just
never works that way, man.
I'll just spend one night with her. Instead of calling her, I actually called my dad like I was a drug addict in the program, or I would reach out to somebody like I'm in AA, and I would say, I'm thinking about using, I'm thinking about fucking up, because she's my drug at the moment, right? And listen, instead of being embarrassed to admit that I was hooked, this is the thing about owning your shit. The point you were making earlier about not pretending you haven't had failures. Yes. I can't sit up here and be like, I'm Hugh Hefner. I'm not like gonna boast and say, look at me, I'm alpha male. I'll tell you straight up. I was hooked on a chick just like everybody was at one point. But I just owned my shit, admitted to myself that I had done this to myself, but was willing to work through the procedure of detoxing from that high. It's a high like anything else. I had to train myself to be that way, because at the end of the day, my purpose was just more worth it. I don't know if there's a woman in this world that can counterbalance my purpose and be worth it.